Is that what you got? Is that the preferred nuance of this? Mm-hmm. So obviously a cool weekend for us. Had a fantastic win against an exceptional opponent at Kentucky. Went 3-0, and that's not to overlook the other two teams that are there. They're going to win a ton of matches, and it was a great RPI wins for us. Thought we battled through some injury. We beat Kentucky -3 starters, and that to me is pretty awesome when you talk about depth. And I told everyone at the start of the year, it's just nice to have some depth where we can bring people in and move some people around. Again, a big week in a lot of ways. I think we're a week away from the Big Ten, but we're playing opponents that have good teams and have trained hard. I think first match is Stetson, and we've spent the whole week worried about them. So that's the next match on the calendar for me, and that's all I'm spending my time worrying about. But I know South Florida went 4 with Florida, went 5 with Long Beach. I mean, it's a team that's real, and they do a lot of really good stuff. So they've got my attention as well. So we're going to try to in the back half of this week before we travel, learn a little bit more about them, keep working on our systems, tightening some stuff up. But we're in a pretty good position. I think a healthy position. If we can take care of business and have a good weekend, I think we're in a great place going into conference play, and then we'll worry about that when we get to that. But so far, things are pretty good.
Do you have an injury update on both Haley and Megan?
Haley was an upper body deal, and we're hoping she's available. Megan we think was like a bone bruise or a lower body deal. We're hoping she's available. And then you've got nagging stuff with people that we're trying to manage through reps and through training. Our trainer, Amanda, and our strength coach, Chris, they do a phenomenal job. And I think the team's really matured this year in terms of taking care of their bodies and doing stuff the right way. So I think the stuff that's nagging will go away as long as we handle it right and manage their reps in practice and not try to do too much. But I feel good about it. I think if we had to play right now, they all say they'd be ready to go. I think it's our job at times to make sure they're not doing too much.
I know you said after the game against Kentucky you didn't plan on having a crazy celebration. Did you guys celebrate at all after the win?
No, I mean, I'll kind of stand by what I said. I think if you're beating Kentucky in week 15 or 16 of the season, it's a whole different celebratory experience than beating them in week 3. I came home, got to see my babies. I'm getting old, man.
So at the beginning of the season, before the preseason, you wanted to get to 8 to 10 wins before Big Ten play. You're at 8 right now. Mm-hmm. How well do you think your team has progressed throughout the preseason?
Well, we're better. I think we've got a whole nother gear though when we get real healthy and we get people back. And Kendall's good, and Megan's good, and Haley's back in the fold. We got great depth on both pins, and the middles are playing well. So it's the best version of us is we haven't presented yet. I think in time it'll come. And the best news about it is we got a lot of kids who are good, and if we have an injury or someone has a tough night, we can spell it and we can do some things. And that usually takes a really long time to build with a program. I think we've been really fortunate with the returning kids doing it the right way, and then being able to bring in some new kids, some transfers, and build that depth. So I'm excited for where it's going. I don't think there's anyone in the program who thinks we've arrived and it's all like we're a top 10 team and we're just going to coast. I think practice was spirited. I think people are jumping each other. I think we're itchy to try to get better, and that's what the best programs do.
I know the great stats speak for themselves, but how has the progress of your freshmen progressed within these games that you've had?
Yeah, they're doing some good stuff. I mean, Emily couldn't serve a ball in to save her life for about the first 2.5 matches, but in game 4 and game 5, she was really, really good, made some great decisions and moved the ball around. I think Haley has the potential to be a really good libero in this league. I thought that the whole time since I recruited her. And she's a passionate kid. She's a really, really good teammate. I think she'll grow into it. I think it's hard when freshmen come in and they're being asked to do a ton. But we've got good veteran leadership. We've got some kids who have played the positions and they're giving them good feedback. And I think that's a pretty good thing. Obviously, Ash Zuloff I think can play as well. She's trying to come back from a foot deal and she's working through that. So we'll see in time. I think they're all doing some nice things.
With this being the last weekend before conference play, are there any more boxes you want to check off or anything you want to see out of your team?
Well, learning how to travel. I think we've had some really good conversations about how we want to do it. The fact that we did get a travel weekend and how that feels, I think that's important. We're on the road a ton now. And we're not back home till October 4th, I think, for the Illinois match. So how we travel, how we hydrate, how we do scouting reports and film, and how the girls work through that. I think the communication is really good right now with the team in general about what they need and what they're trying to do. And then we're trying to play a lot more clean. I think the best teams don't make a ton of errors, and they handle the ball pretty well. And if they serve the ball tough, but in, and they attack. If they don't love it, they keep the ball in play, and then they do a great job of blocking defense. So we blocked a truckload of balls. I think we're going to be one of the better blocking teams in the country, and that's part of it's a pet thing that I've always been a fan of. Even back to my Penn State days, I spent a lot of time with the blocking schemes, and part of it is we got a lot of veteran kids who are just good. So they stuff balls and make the staff look good.
Steve, do you set aside any time to watch some of the other nationally ranked Big Ten teams play? There's a number 1 versus 2 matchup tomorrow.
Yeah, I do when I can. I mean, there's a balance for me because my sleep schedule is unique, to say the least. So sometimes I'm sending my staff emails at 4:30 in the morning, and I'm watching something from the night before, and I try to spend some time with the kids in the morning, or if we get done at a reasonable time, spend some time with them. I try to have a pretty good balance, but there's a lot of spinning plates. Being a coach, being a dad of 3, having a staff, having a team. So, anytime I can steal with my kids, I think it's important. They're 9, 6, and 4. They're going to be making the trip to Tampa this weekend with my wife, my mom, and dad. Family is a big deal to me, and I want them to know that even though I'm gone a lot, that I'm there and try to make it to the stuff that I have to be at, and have a good balance. My mentor at Penn State is the hardest working guy and the most diligent guy I've ever met in my life, and he was pretty overt with me about you got to do a good job of trying to make time to make sure you spend time with your kids and your family, because college coaches, they get into these routes where if you talk to football coaches, they stay on mattresses in the office and they just grind and grind and grind. So I think there's time for it. I think watching volleyball is something that we obviously like to do, and we've got good friends on a number of teams, and obviously cheer for the Big Ten a ton because you want the conference to do well. So, but there's some elite volleyball on, and more on TV now. It's gone crazy the number of matches that are available with all the different platforms and networks and streaming, and so watching it is good. Sometimes you get a little itchy because some of the volleyball is pretty darn good, and you know that you're going to be playing it soon, so it makes the practices a little bit more intense for sure.
How big was, going back to that Kentucky match, how big was Hayden coming in, not obviously playing, like she played the first match of the season, didn't play as much, and then started to get back into more playing time. How big was she just having her name be ready to call?
Yeah, the thing about her is that she, last year she finished with like the 4th best hitting percentage in the history of the program. She's a versatile kid. She can hit from the left, the middle, and the right. I think she's a good blocker. I think she's got a good feel for stuff. I don't think she's scared of much. And she's a really good teammate. Much like Cam last year, it's Cam didn't play and then she played and she's in and she's out. And, we brought in a bunch of people at a bunch of positions, and I think she's adapted. She knows that I trust her. I know she goes hard. I know she cares. I think she comes from a great family that I love when I get to see them. And she's going to have a heck of a year. I think she'll have a big year for us, and she'll be a really important part of what we're doing.
Just going back to a point you made earlier about, I think this team can be very good on the blocking end, especially Big Ten play. Is that something that stands out to you, or is there one facet of your guys' game, be it serving, returning, digs, or blocks, that you think is going to be crucial in Big Ten play?
Well, the two things I think right now with the system, I think offensively we're better than we've been in a long time. A lot of that is driven through the middle, with Dash and Jack. I think they're very good offensively if we can get on the ball and handle the ball. When Kendall comes back, she's a cheat code at times where if you mishandle the first 2 touches, she can hit you out of trouble. She's just got a world-class arm. So getting her back and getting her going, I think matters. Bree's come a long way. But then when you mix in Hayden and Sloan and Kari on the right, the system allows us in every single rotation to have 3 different people flying at you, hitting a ball. So that's important. And then that also transfers with us being pretty physical as a blocking team. There's not a matchup where I scout us, right? I look at us and say, okay, if I'm playing us, how am I beating us? And when we have a team attacking us, I think our blocking schemes and our size and how physical we are, it's a matchup issue. Now, I don't think we're clean. I don't think we do everything great. But I think if we're talking about play at the net and the ability to attack and to block, I think we've got a program that is so far ahead of where I thought it would be 18 months in. And that's the fun part, you know. I think kids like to hit, you know. But playing defense is hard, grinding for points is hard. But kids like to hit, kids like to block, so it's not hard to get their attention when we're trying to train that stuff.